Hello everyone, my name is Hayden Marsh-Collis, and I was recently posed with the question, how do you learn? At first, I was extremely thrown off by this question, as I have never really considered the way in which I learn most proficiently. I thought to myself, well, I learn the best from a teacher, don't I? Doesn't everybody? But then, upon studying Teaching in a Digital Age by Tony Bates, I realized that there was an implicit issue with that statement alone. Epistemology is a branch of philosophy concerned with the nature and justification of knowledge. At the root of each individual's best method for learning is epistemology. This is because all humans obtain implicit beliefs about the nature of knowledge, what constitutes truth, how that truth is best validated, and from a teaching perspective, how best to help people to acquire that knowledge. Such beliefs vary in regard to subject matter, which is why you may know someone that is an amazing math tutor, but seems to be unable to deliver that same level of understanding when tutoring you in the social sciences. This is why I believe it is extremely important to learn from a teacher who holds similar epistemological beliefs as your own, for each discipline that you concern yourself with. Furthermore, through the study of epistemology and the introduction of digital technology, new and different theories of learning have been developed for which most teachers have become familiar with, in order to meet the diverse needs of their learners in a digital age. That is why, in conclusion, it is necessary for me to decide upon which learning theory I identify with the most. After thoroughly analyzing the 5 main learning theories discussed within Teaching in a Digital Age, behaviorism, cognitivism, constructivism, learning by doing, and connectivism, I found that I identified with cognitivism the most. Contrary to behaviorism, which treats students as a computer that can be programmed, given certain inputs to deliver desired outputs, cognitivism acknowledges the unique variables taking place within every learner's mind, such as conscious thought, emotions, etc. Simply put, since humans have the ability for conscious thought, decision-making, emotions, and the ability to express ideas through social discourse, which are all extremely beneficial for learning, cognitivists believe that we will likely get a better understanding of learning if we try to find out what goes on inside the black box. Furthermore, it is important to understand the key concepts within this learning theory, so I'm going to try and explain 3 of them to you. First, learning cannot only be evaluated through observable behavior, but through one's ability to reorganize their current perception of the world due to a new learning experience. This key concept is based off of the cognitivist view of seeing an individual not as the mechanical product of his environment, as behaviorism would, but as a mind in the midst of trying to process and categorize the stream of information fed into them by the external world. Second, the most commonly used theory of cognitivism is the thinking domain of Bloom's taxonomies of learning objectives. Such domain states that in order for someone to learn, they must progress through a hierarchy of learning that contains 6 levels. These levels, in order of progression, consist of remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, and in most recent years, creating. Lastly, cognitivism places an emphasis on understanding the environmental conditions of each learner, how such conditions affect their mental states, and how they proceed to learn based on such. Cognitivists believe that when learning, we search for rules, principles, or relationships when processing new information, and that we search for meaning and consistency in order to connect the new information with our previous knowledge. Now, we are going to take a second for a pop quiz. Do you think you're ready? Well, let's see. The question is, how does a cognitivist see an individual? A, as the mechanical product of their environment. B, as a mind in the midst of trying to process and categorize the stream of information fed to them by the external world. If you chose B, that means you were correct. A is actually the way in which behaviorists see an individual, but they are very easy to get confused, so don't worry. I hope you had fun participating in this pop quiz. Now that some of the key concepts are understood, it is important to understand the ways in which cognitivism can be applied in order to best support learning. Cognitivist learning theory is best known for being useful in teaching learners how to learn, developing stronger mental processes for further learning, and developing more insightful understandings of concepts. Thus, because of such, Along with the increase in technological capabilities, cognitivism has led to multiple developments in the way in which we pass on knowledge. Examples of such developments include intelligent tutoring systems, artificial intelligence, predetermined learning outcomes, problem-based learning, and instructional design approaches. Although, my favorite part about cognitivist learning theory is that it is best supported when the material is varied in a way that may include things such as audio-visual examples, demonstrations, opportunities for practical application, along with corrective feedback. I feel this way because I believe that it allows course content to be easily remembered and distinguishable from other lectures. Throughout my education, I have found that teachers who consistently ask questions, engage the class, and provide corrective feedback have been the most enjoyable. This is because providing feedback and asking the class questions regularly are forms of distributed practice, which create an increased number of cues available for me to recall information from, compared to mass practice techniques such as cramming before an exam. In conclusion, as said by Tony Bates, cognitivists have increased our understanding of how humans process and make sense of new information, how we assess, interpret, integrate, process, organize, and manage knowledge, and have given us a better understanding of the conditions that affect learners' mental states, opposed to previous theories that would rather consider humans to be black boxes in need of simple inputs. Cognitivism most supports my own approach to learning in this online course because it allows me to actively progress through the thinking domain of Bloom's taxonomies. My weekly approach to learning in EM203 begins with reading and remembering the lecture and is then followed by understanding such content, preferably by using the given resources that are usually in the form of an article. Subsequently, we are given learning activities, usually in the form of group discussions, that allow me to apply and analyze the course content by creating insightful responses to add to such conversation. Furthermore, the chance for evaluation is offered through EM203 because we are often prompted to reply to our classmates' discussions posts in order to correct and solidify our understandings as a collective. Lastly, to complete the hierarchy of learning, we as learners are required to not only understand the content, but to use such in order to create pieces of work that spread such knowledge to others. This happens to be my favorite aspect of the course as it supports engagement, creativity, and social discourse, as our creations range from concept maps all the way to weekly tweets. Therefore, because of such, I believe that this form of learning is beyond beneficial for me, and directly reinforced through cognitivist aspects as it legitimately teaches learners how to learn, through learning theories and the application of digital technology, developing stronger mental processes for further learning, and developing more insightful understandings of concepts. Now, to finish off my presentation, I would just like to explain how this video better supported my individual approach to learning in comparison to other choices I could have pursued. I made the decision to execute this plan as I believed it would allow me to reach the highest level of learning within Bloom's taxonomies. I believed that only by creating a video would I be able to gain a thorough grasp of cognitivism and the true nature of how I learn. Furthermore, I implemented aspects such as pop quizzes, demonstrations, and diagrams, along with audiovisual examples, into my choice of technology as an attempt to create an accurate and long-lasting mental connection for whomever may visit this. Also, I believe that through the use of an audiovisual presentation, I was able to spark a level of interest, engagement, and variety that alternatives such as posters, comic strips, or text wouldn't have achieved, thereby aiding in comprehension and the elaboration of existing cognitive structures. Ultimately, I created this video in the hopes of eventually reaching this exact point, where I can say that I was able to effectively, beyond the topics of epistemology, learning theories, and cognitivism, thoroughly understand and teach you how I learn. Thank you for listening.